Hello, good afternoon. I'm John Holloway, and it's lovely to be here. And it feels kind of silly saying, it's lovely to be here. I ought to be saying something more serious, but it is actually lovely to be here. It's an honor and a joy to be here. And that sounds like a cliche, but there are lots of times, I suppose, I've said, oh, it's an honor to be here. Only this time, I feel that the honor is a bit intimidating. Because the more I go speaking to people and hearing about what they're doing and what they've done, and hearing about what other people have done and are doing, and how they have dedicated their lives, their bodies, to struggles for a better world, in which I, as a university professor, have not done. And I think, yes, this is a real honor to be amongst you. A real honor. Yeah, and a little bit frightening as well. The joy is easier. Yeah, it's a joy to be here. It's a joy to listen to such good music as we had in the earlier part. It's a joy. I was going to say, look, the sunny day, it's a joy to be here, but the sunny day is outside. A joy to see old friends and make new friends. And of old friends, I suppose, nobody older or no friendship older, and I think we break a record. As with Vala and Dogwander, we've been friends for more than 50 years, and that's impressive. And then Vittorio and Haven and then Ray and Dargul and etc., etc., etc. Great. And in a way, I'd like to stop there, but it says I have to talk for 15 minutes. I'll carry on. So the next question really is, why are we here? What is, I feel that's, with any meeting, that's really the important question to ask. Well, why are we here? What are we doing here? And of course we're here to open the academy, but we're also here because there's something that unites us. And I suppose that what unites us is really a scream of anger, a scream, not of despair, but certainly of desperation in the current situation. A scream that comes when we look around us, a scream when we think, as we have to think, of Gaza, of the systematic, scientific, daily repeated torture of children by starvation, leading to their public execution, while the politicians of the world look on. And the only thing we can do whatever protest we can, but we scream. And I'm sure that is a scream that unites us all here. Or we think of what happened just a few days ago in this country, in Holland, where the heads of government agreed to raise military expenditure to 5% a year. It comes across just like a statistic, just like a figure that comes out easily in the newspapers. But lifting military expansion, expenditure to 5% a year means, of course, more soldiers, more arms, less education, less expenditure on picking up the social consequences of the system. And it means also an explosion of masculinity. No? Militarism is about that. It's about masculinity. It's about shifting the balance in society. It means saying, well, enough of all this nonsense we've heard over the last 30, 40 years about a more gentle society or a greater role for women. Militarism means masculinity, masculine violence. It means discipline. It means unquestioning obedience. And that's just kind of signed off as an agreement between the states just a few days ago. Or we can think of the growing hatred, the growing discrimination, the growing mistreatment of people on the move, often referred to as migrants. The way in which that is growing in all the country, and then we think, yeah, I mean, this notion of mistreatment of migrants really goes to the root of what the state is. Because the state, any state, is from birth onwards a process of teaching that you are citizens. You are citizens of Holland, of Mexico, of Serbia, of the United States. And you are more or less human. People outside, people who are non-citizens, okay, we may think that they're humans as well. It's only in exceptional cases, not really so exceptional, where we'll talk of them as animals. No, but it's the existence of the state that already creates this identification, this separation between the real humans and the others, and from there to discriminating against foreigners, or attacking foreigners, or throwing them out, or sending them off to prisons in El Salvador, is just a small step. And we could go on and on. In a way, we all probably have our favorite screams. No? We all of us here in this room, I'm quite sure, are shocked. Not just shocked to our foundations by some aspect of the society that we live in. And we can call that World War III or World War IV, as we like, as Targol mentioned. But it's more than that as well. We know that what dehumanizes us or dehumanizes our relations with one another, finally, is the fact that they are based on money. You know, when we talk about World War IV, even that, perhaps, is a euphemism, a way of not saying, well, what is wrong is capital, the existence of capital as a social relation, the existence of money as a way of relating to one another. We all have our screams, and in a way, it seems to me that the scream is really fundamental if we're going to talk about social science as we are, because any sort of social science that does not give voice to this scream, that does not start from no, any sort of science, social science, that doesn't start from refusal is, in the end of the day, a justification of the horrors that exist. A world based on the horrors of money, a world based on the containment of money. What money does is to contain us, to force us to behave in a certain way from one day to the other. What do? The answer nearly always comes in terms of some sort of activity that earns money, that gets us the necessary things to live. It's a form, in that sense, it's a form of containment. But the violence of its crisis at the moment suggests that perhaps it is a containment that is no longer containing. So there, already we're in a mess. Already we're in a contradiction. Because I started off by saying that how lovely to be here, what a pleasure, what a joy. And then I'm saying that, no, we're here, what unites us is this scream of anger, scream of pain. How do we hold the two things together? And the most obvious answer is the traditional left, puritanical answer that says, well, what's serious about this day, what's serious about this weekend is the stream of pain. Okay, we enjoyed ourselves, we had a good time, but let's forget about that. No, let's leave that on one side. And I think it can't be like that. Of course, there's a contradiction. But let's live with that contradiction. Instead of getting ourselves lost in the common left discourse of how awful, let's think that our scream contains perhaps a joy. Let's think of how we can strengthen that joy. We enjoy our day, we enjoy this day in spite of what is happening around us. We enjoy this day against the horrors of what is happening around us. Or even better, we enjoy this day against and beyond what is happening around us. Against and beyond, because at the same time as we're saying no to the world of money, of calculation, of quantification, of violence, of military power, at the same time as we're saying no, actually, we have other priorities. We're going to enjoy lunch. We're going to enjoy chatting to our friends. We're going to enjoy doing other things. Our scream is a scream that fights against the horrors of capitalism by trying to create something else at the same time. It's a scream that goes creating, that grows, opening other doors, other possibilities. And for me, that is what is so important about the Kurdish movement, and so important about the Zapatista movement, and so important about other movements as well. That if we scream, if the world is full of a scream, then there must be screamers. We are the screamers. And if there are screamers, then those screamers are saying something about what they do not accept. Those screamers are expressing their resistance. And their resistance, our resistance, isn't just, it's more than that. Our resistance is an attempt to create other ways of living, to create friendships, to create loves, to create companionships. Our resistance is a process of trying to sow the seeds of another world, even in the horrors of this world. Our resistance is the resistance of these plants that push their way up through the asphalt, or through the pavement. Our resistance is a process not only of us being weeds, of us being these plants, but also of recognizing that that life under the soil has been there all the time for centuries, and that it continues. And for me, that is what is super about the Kurdish movement, about Öcalan. It is super about the Zapatistas and what they're saying, is this recovery, recognition of our own strength now, and this recovery of the long history of struggles. And that, for me, is what the Academy is all about. I think it's not. It is, of course, about Öcalan and Öcalan's thought, so valuable. But more than that, it is a celebration of the thinkers and the artists and the musicians who sing a life, who sing a song of life against death, life against money, humanity against extinction. It is the celebration of all who say no to the growing militarization of the world, who say no to the growing destruction, not only the ones I mentioned, but obviously the destruction of other forms of life, the heating of the planet. You can go on and go on. But for me, the Academy is that. It's really a song of praise, a song of celebration, a song of joy, why not? That arises from the recognition of these resistances, of these refusals. And for that, thank you very much, Haven, and Reimar, and Alessandro, and all of you who have brought us together here today. Thank you.